you're dealing with the different types of opportunities that come into a dealership, I mean, I already talked about phone calls and I already talked about internet leads, but there's a wealth of leads that every single car dealership, established car dealership, has access to, that they really just, I don't really see being effectively worked. Not as effective as it could be in most dealerships. So outside of Highline stores, you know, the book of business that you have within your CRM, that's just pretty much like on autopilot with Conversica or, you know, whoever that does your automated follow-up. And that's fine if you don't have the staffing to actually, or a BDC set up to actually interact with those leads and follow up on in a particular cadence that makes sense to them, or offer them value-added items in order to interact with the dealership again. And what I mean by that is, you know, someone who bought a car 3-4 years ago for 0% or 1% isn't probably too keen on trading that vehicle in for an 8%, 10%, 6%, 4% interest rate. So it really becomes incumbent upon the salesperson who sold the vehicle, or the BDC department, the BDC rep who actually got the lead, that they need to show some kind of value in that customer interacting with the store again. I mean, whatever the manner may be at which they're interacting with your store. What I mean by that is, you're not going to convince that person has 0% interest rate to trade in their car for a 10% interest rate, right? I think we can all agree on that. But what they will agree to do, because they're going to be keeping their car a little bit longer, is doing service interval work. So if you can treat them right and give them discounts or coupons on, you know, 60,000 mile service, 80,000 mile service, or whatever your service intervals are, now you're speaking to the customer as to what's of value to them. They know hanging on to the car longer, they're going to have some more maintenance costs. So they have to account for that. So by you offering, hey, keeping that car a little bit longer, here's a coupon for a 60,000 mile service, that might help you get through that. Things like that actually resonate really well with the particular shopper that's looking at that. You got to be realistic about what your interest rates are. You know, what was the interest rate 4 years ago for your brand for that particular unit? What did that customer get 4 years ago for an interest rate? Now look at your interest rates now and be realistic. If you know for a fact that customer is not going, you will know for a fact if it's a 10% interest rate and they got a 0%, they're not trading in. So don't bother sending them ads for new cars. Send them coupons for services based on what the estimate of mileage is that they're at right now. Send them a coupon for that. The wiper blades, tires, brake pads, oil changes, cabin air filter changes, things like that. Those are all great things to send out coupons to current customers for. But the follow-up needs to be there too. Just sending an email with the coupon for a service and then not following up with a phone call is a little silly. And I know what you're going to say, but I'm a salesperson. Why would I want to send anything to service? Let me tell you why you would want to send something to service. So I'm going to break it down like this. I'm not talking about all the customers that one dealership had forever. I'm talking about the salesperson who has been there for 3-4 years and is having trouble getting people to come back in. Why do you want to call customers and start talking about and setting up service appointments? I'll tell you why. Because you need to be in it for the long game, not the short game, the long game. So by calling your customers who bought a car 3-4 years ago, saying, hey, have you brought your vehicle in here for service? I know you had a couple of free oil changes when you bought the car, if that's the case, but I don't know where you've been servicing since then. If there's an open recall in the car, I want to have you bring it in, you know, and see this guy for the recall, or, you know, things like that you can actually step up your game. And by showing them that value add at doing business with you, that it's not just a one and done, that you're continuing to keep in contact and keep them updated, you're now making a loyal customer to come back and buy those 8 to 10 cars from you that they're going to buy in their lifetime. So it's worth the 10 minutes it would take you to have a conversation with that person about where they're at with their car. Did they, when you come into service, I want to set you up with Jim, who's a great service advisor. He's my favorite. He's an expert on the F-150 oil change. Don't talk out of your ass. Actually, have factual information. So make sure you're putting them with the person that actually is the expert for a truck, or in the brake pads for a Mustang or whatever. Make sure that all aligns up and that's truth. But that's what you want the delivery you want to have for. And a lot of times I know salespeople that would work out like a spiff system between the service advisor and themselves. So the service advisor would give them like $20 if they got them, set them up with appointments, and vice versa. The salesperson would give them like $50 or whatever it was, whatever the arrangement was. If the person that was in the service drive recommended them for a sale. So work out a system between one or more of the service advisors where you can actually set up and book appointments for them that they'll then pay you on. And the reason I say this is because unless your store has a dedicated BDC, that's not happening. Nobody's touching those leads for more than maybe twice a year on their birthday and on the anniversary they bought the car. And I did that too. But once I learned this way of doing it, where you actually extend, it's kind of, I'm taking a page of the book from the realtors. Like our realtor that sold us our house a little over 2 years ago, she still is in contact with us. She doesn't ask us if we want to sell our house. She just says, hey, how's it going? Here's some events in the area that I thought you might be interested in. Here's some events in the community that I thought you might be interested in. Hey, the value of your house went up since you bought it. She sends us that type of stuff. None of it is ever, when are you going to sell your house? When are you going to sell your house? When are you going to sell your house? So we can do the same thing as selling cars as they do as realtors do. Good realtors do, is stay in there as top of mind. So we're continuously sending them service specials, part specials. If there's events going on in the store that they can take advantage of, different things like that. Those all make a difference in the long run, because you're staying top of mind with all this subject matter, all this value add that you're bringing to the table for that customer, so that when they do get to the point where they buy a car, or someone near them buys a car, oh man, you got to go see my guy Jim. He's awesome. Or you got to go see my girl Jane. She's fantastic. That's what you want. So you have to put in that extra work if you want to see that kind of result. And there might not be an immediate payoff for it, but you have to think long term. You have to stop thinking short term and start thinking long term. Like I've said before, nobody wins at golf if they only know how to putt. They have to know how to hit the ball, long drives. I don't know anything about golf, it shows, but they have to be able to know how to hit the hell out of the ball, in addition to knowing how to putt, in order to be successful at golf. So the same thing applies for sales. You have to know how to interact with the customer on a level that makes sense to them in order to make it make sense for them to do business with you long term. And sometimes you just have to swallow that 5-10 minute conversation or email that you're going to type out, or text message that you're going to type out, that may not have immediate payoffs, but you need to think long term. So I kind of went down a different rabbit hole than I thought I was going to go down, but that's the payoff for getting into your customer database and really digging in and finding, if you're new to the store, there's tons of orphan owners in there that you can actually reach out to and introduce yourself to. There's tons of opportunities in there to show value add to those customers and be their person at the store and build that relationship before you ever get to the point where they have to buy a car. So that when they do get to that point, you can be like, yeah, sure, I can help you buy a car. And then all that front work that you did, that prep work that you did, pre-work, whatever you want to call it, will pay off. But you keep doing that and keep doing that process. You're not waiting for the people to come in on the front line, because people are already coming in and asking for you. So that's my lesson for this week. Hope that helps. Happy selling.